So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created life and death. And this is actually referring to the two states of human beings. If you think about it, it encompasses all the stages in between of our life in this world. So notice death is mentioned before life. And this is not just a coincidence. I mean, we see in other places in Surah Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كُنْتُمْ أَمْوَاتًا فَأَحْيَاكُمْ ثُمَّ يُمِيتُكُمْ ثُمَّ يُحْيِيكُمْ ثُمَّ إِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. While you are lifeless, and He gave you life, then He will make you die, and then He will make you live again, and live again, and then to Him you will return. Or just in Surah Rum, يُحْيِي الْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا, He gives life to the earth after its death. Then we look at the second part of the ayah, which is لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. And what that is referring to is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to judge us on who does good deeds. And the important demarcation here is it's not about the quantity of deeds, it's about the quality of deeds. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be weighing our deeds, not just counting. We should understand a couple of things here. I mean, there are two conditions for actions to be accepted. You know, an action has to be khalis, for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it has to be sawab with the sad. Sawab, so it has to be correct, according to the Sunnah of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So when you perform an action, it has to be done with sincerity and correctness. And if you think about these two things, you have like 4 combinations that can happen regarding any action. An action can be sincere and correct, and according to Sunnah, it will be accepted. And that's a desirable state. Then you can have an action done with sincerity, but it's not done according to Sunnah. It will be rejected. I mean, what could be an example? Think about the bid'ah that's unfortunately common now, prostration to graves. I mean, you could see people out of sincerity. I mean, they're trying to get close to Allah, and in that understanding or misunderstanding, they're thinking of doing prostration to the graves. And again, the second part of it is not from the Sunnah. We cannot prostrate to anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is rejected and punished, as a matter of fact. Then you get into the third type, which is not sincere act, but done according to Sunnah. Even that is not accepted. And you wonder, well, what happened there? So think about the salah, of munafiq. So or just recitation, if you're doing these, praiseworthy acts, recommended acts, but you're doing it for fame, you're doing it to elevate your status among others, showing off, then that is not accepted. And finally, obvious, but if something does not have the sincerity and neither is from Sunnah, definitely should be avoided. I mean, what comes to mind is different events we see around us, that are not from Islam. I mean, Halloween is a perfect event to think about, where we see many Muslims celebrating it, and yet this is following the tradition of pagans. And this is neither from our, Sunnah, and again, it's a worldly act and should be avoided. And what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about actions that are not accepted and done without sincerity and without correctness? As it comes in Surah Furqan, وَقَدِمْنَا إِلَى مَا عَمِلُوا مِنْ عَمَلٍ وَجَعَلْنَاهُ هَبَاءً مَنْثُورًا. So, and we will proceed to whatever deeds they did, and will turn them into scattered dust, so they will be meaningless.